So my name's John Reisner. I live in Houston, Texas. I was 9 years old when the Batman television show came on ABC network. As a 9-year-old kid, I was amazed with the Batmobile. I mean, who wouldn't be? A car that shoots fire out the back and has parachutes. I mean, come on. And so when I was 9, I bought a model kit. I believe Revell, I'm sorry, is who originally produced the model, and I built it. By that time I was 10, I built the model, and from that time forward I wanted to have a Batmobile. As a teenager, I talked to my dad about taking his 98 Oldsmobile and converting that into a Batmobile. Surprisingly, my dad didn't like the idea. So I had to press on. So I've completed the build of the car in December of 2014. 9 years prior to that, I acquired a 1973 Lincoln Town Car. Why a Lincoln Town Car? The original car, the original Lincoln Futura that was converted into the Batmobile was obviously a Lincoln. It was designed by Ford Lincoln Mercury. It was constructed in 1954 for the 1955 Chicago Auto Show. Ford designed the car. They had Ghia of Italy build the car and do all of the body work, and then they sent it back to Detroit for the final assembly to be done. So I wanted a Lincoln to keep with that heritage, with that lineage, and also because it had to have a 127-inch wheelbase. This car is big. It's approximately just shy of 19 feet long. Okay. The original car had a 460 Ford motor in it. Because of the design, the modified design of the car, it cuts off airflow to the engine. So we had to go with something that was a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, so it would operate cooler. So we've gone with a Chevy Blueprint crate engine, 383, stroked and bored. We're running approximately 500 horsepower, approximately 500 foot-pound of torque. So it does drive and it does get up and go. It is a fiberglass body. So we went with the 1973 Lincoln Town Car, stripped it down completely, acquired a body that was a derivative of one of the original Barris bodies. George Barris created the Batmobile. He had 4 that he made, and ours was a derivative of the number 4 car. We've made this car as accurate to how it was in season 1 of the television show as possible, down to the license plate, down to the seat belts. We've made it as accurate as possible. So that's a bit of the story about the car, and we hope you enjoy it.
A couple of quick questions. I mean, you covered why the Batmobile, of course, but when in building this, what was by far the most challenging aspect of it?
Well, really, to me, the most challenging part. There were two challenging parts. First of all, my sons and I began this build, and during the process, over the 9-year period of time, DC Comics sued a gentleman that was building a Batmobile, and they won their suit on the basis of copyright infringement. Now, not copyright of the design of the car, because federal courts have held for a long time that you cannot copyright the design of a car. Rather, it was the copyright on the character. They claimed that the Batmobile was not actually a car, it was a character. So on that basis they won. So we stopped, my sons and I stopped our work on the car, and we found out what we had to do to be licensed by DC Comics. So this car is licensed by DC Comics. It's the number 5 licensed car by DC Comics. We are allowed to call it the Batmobile because we pay the money and have the license.
Is there anything you want to walk around and show us that you think that is particularly interesting about this car besides, well, I guess everything? Any little details that somebody might miss if they're looking at it for the first time?
If you're not an aficionado of the show, you might not know that the seat belts. Now, when the series first started, the car did not have seat belts in it. And the network and the sponsors received such, not the sponsors, and the sponsors received mail from civil safety groups that said, how can superheroes not comply with the law and not have seat belts? So over a weekend they had to come in and make seat belts for the car that never had them, because there was a car in 1955 when they didn't have seat belts. So they went with the red seat belts with the black stripe, put a small bat on them, and there you go. That's a fine detail. All of the gadgets on the car work. We'll be demonstrating that later with the lights on and all of that. We do shoot fire out the back. That's one of the main questions people ask. Does it shoot fire? And my simple answer is, why else would you build it? So it does shoot fire. We had our parachutes made by a gentleman named Jim Deist Safety. They built the parachutes for the original car. He used the same pattern as he did when he made the parachutes for George Barris, and the same type of parachute. We have photos in our book that show the comparisons. Again, that's the level of detail we went to. You may see some other replica cars unlicensed, and all they have is foam stuck in the parachute packs. Ours are real, and they have the actual stamp that Deist Safety used on the parachute packs back in the day.
Wow, so you really just pulled out all the stops.
Pretty much. There's still a couple things I want to do, but that's how it always is.